Welcome, everybody, to another episode, the first episode of Dan-A-Plooza for January 2023. My guest at this time is an amazing performer. She is the burlesque interteaser, traveling showgirl, music of the mistress, Lolli Popsicle.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the show, Lolli Popsicle. So, for those tuning in and for future tuning in, make sure to follow this amazing woman on all her social medias. That is at the bottom of your screen. So, just go ahead and take a look. You can follow her at Lolli Popsicle Burlesque. That is on the social medias of Instagram, YouTube, and OnlyFans. So make sure to go ahead and follow on those and make sure to subscribe and go ahead and support today. Well, Lollipop, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So, I gotta ask because I've seen you perform very amazingly. And for
No,
those who
thank
haven't
you.
seen, she was just recently in a show last year with Fanny's Free for All, where I believe
Yes.
you did a jazz number. um, so tell me, what's the best thing about performing virtually?
Well, where I live, there actually isn't a theater or a club or anything like that. It's very much like a small country town. So the virtual realm of burlesque makes it so that I can do burlesque. Otherwise, it would be very like far and few between. Um, I love that you can take classes online with different teachers. Like Fanny is based in LA. Never would have met Fanny if it hadn't have been for virtual things, right? So just stuff like that. I've performed with people from all over the world in the same show. Like our last show, we had someone from Mexico, the UK, Canada, the US. Like just you would never meet these people if it wasn't for virtual burlesque. And it's a lot of fun to just do different camera plays. Like you can do things that you just can't do live. Like it's just a whole different ball game and it's just so interesting. It's probably one of the only good things that came out of this pandemic, I think. But yeah,
Yeah. Um, and I'm glad that you've mentioned that because I feel like there is a lot of improvisation with the performing in front of the camera. Now, are you the kind of performer that you lay everything out, in your head before you perform, or do you just kind of, if something
yes.
is going when you're performing, you just go on that tangent or just go with it, or are you someone
I
who lays it all out?
I have forgotten my number before. Like I usually choreograph something and have a really good idea of what I'm gonna do. Like I find with burlesque, especially when you're doing reveals and things like that, you need to have a plan and know how this skirt comes off or whatever it is so that you don't have like a technical malfunction, even though those can be worked through as well. Like for me, it makes me feel less nervous to know what I'm doing. And then, I mean, like, I've never actually done a show where something didn't go wrong or I didn't forget or something. Like, I'm no stranger to improv, but I always have some sort of an idea of how it's going to go, whether it does or not. So,
That's good. I am because I'm more of a theatrical kind of performer, so I also kind of have
yeah.
that mindset of like I have to think of stuff I'm gonna do. And did you kind of always have that background? Like, did you have a performing background before you started doing burlesque?
I did actually. I was a figure skater when I was a really young kid, competitive figure
Aw.
skating. And then I ended up having feet injuries, so I couldn't do that anymore. So I turned to like classical ballet and jazz and tap and hip hop and like every kind of dance that I could get my hands on. And I did that for a really long time and did it competitively and things like that. But I never went to school, like college for it. So now as an adult, it feels like burlesque gives me that opportunity to feel that feeling when I'm dancing without having to necessarily be in a studio or something, right? So it's a way to still dance.
Yeah, it definitely is. Um, I find it very interesting with the figure skating, because one of my other guests, it was a figure skater as well, and did it for many years and taught figure skating. So,
Oh, nice. Yeah, I did
hmm
that competitively for almost 10 years probably. I started pretty much when I could first walk because when I started walking, my feet were turned in. I was pigeon-toed, and I used to trip myself when I was running. So the doctors said put her in skating or skiing, something that she needs to keep her feet straight to go forward. So it was like something that I started super young. So by the time I was 6 and 7 years old, I was competing like quite high above my age group, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But I think from pushing so hard while my body was still growing, just didn't work out so well physically in the long run.
yeah. Um, and I think again it's interesting because what people don't know is I used to skate as well too. Um,
Nice,
yeah, I was into the hockey, so that's what.
of course.
I will say it was more roller hockey because I tried just skating on hockey skates, and I'm like, I do not see how I will hold the stick and be able to skate without falling down. So,
I've developed a lot more respect for hockey players since being an adult. Like when I was a teenager, it was always competitive, like, oh, hockey schmocky. Like if figure skating was easy, that's what they call it.
yeah,
But now that I've grown up, I'm like, hockey's hard and you're barely even actually tied into your skates. But
exactly.
it's crazy.
It's very competitive, and you can lose teeth and whatnot on hockey.
Yep.
But I think that it was great that you got to have those experiences to kind of prepare you and move you forward to what you are doing now. Um,
hmm
so, was there anybody that kind of influenced you that maybe you had like a role model or somebody that you looked up to?
Yes. Actually, I had never been to a live burlesque show in my life, and then about 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, my boyfriend brought me to a burlesque show, and I was watching, and I was just completely gobsmacked. Like, it sounds really cliche, but you know, in the movie Burlesque with Christina Aguilera, she goes downstairs into the club and she's just completely overwhelmed. It was like
Hmm.
that was exactly what I felt like. And I'm super shy when it comes to talking to strangers, so I just like
Yeah.
was totally satisfied to just go watch the show and then leave. But my boyfriend like pulled me up to the stage and got me talking to one of the performers, and it turns out she was like the coordinator of the cabaret that was there and stuff like that, and we just got talking, and her name's Bitch Sassity, and she was just talking to me about my dance background and all of that sort of thing. And then I was like, I would love to do what you do. I'd love to be up there. And she's like, well, we're going to be back here in a few months. Why don't you put a number together and you can perform with us? I was like, what? Like, absolutely. So I went home and got on my grind and put it all together. And then, like, a month before they were supposed to come and do the show, COVID was like, nope, you're not allowed. So everything
Mm,
got completely shut down. But she told me, she said, we're just going to do the show elsewhere. So if you will travel to us, then you can still dance with us. So I was like, I'm not giving up this opportunity. So packed up my little show bag, got in my car, and drove the 4 hours to get there. And I performed a show with like 30 other people, my debut night, and it was just so much fun. And I had never felt so much like I belonged or like I was in the right place or doing the right thing. Like it was like everything just aligned And she came up to me after. She was like, "I'm so proud of you," and we just like cried for a sec. Like, but I've always been inspired by her. She's on Instagram and everything as well. Her name's Bitch Sassity.
Okay.
Her and her wife Carla Marks have a whole company and everything that they run. They do burlesque and drag and the whole nine yards. They're just absolutely fabulous. We put a show together, believe it was last year, and we ended up donating all the proceeds to the Métis community within that community and everything like that. So it's just like there's really good people, and I just feel so lucky to have a constant like inspiration and line of communication and to be included in their shows and everything like that. Like is definitely a new chapter in my life that wouldn't have been opened had Bitch not said like come take your shirt off over here. Like, so, and like just seeing the confidence that just they and their community have in themselves, like body positivity and just loving yourself. And that's what burlesque is about, is that self-exploration, right? So it's like
Hmm.
they showed me that it's so much more than what people see on the surface. And it's just, it's really wholesome and beautiful. And I'm just so lucky to have met them and all their friends and to be accepted in that community. So I guess that I would say that those people are probably my biggest inspiration.
Definitely. Um, and I was kind of thinking of a song to go with your story as you were telling me that, like how you packed your bag, I was thinking of Journey, just a small town girl, and like,
Oh my God. I know my whole life is just a cliche.
and I wanted to be like street lights and just
Pretty much.
so if there's ever Lolly Popsicle the documentary, that song has to go as the underscore.
Oh my God. Heaven forbid there's ever a documentary.
You never know. Dan-A-Plooza can always produce it, so.
Oh man, I quit.
uh, so my next question is, I'm very curious, and I've always wondered what made you decide to pick the name Lolly Popsicle.
It actually wasn't even me. I can't even take credit for that. The lady, I usually have my nails done really long, but we've been moving and everything lately. So, anyways, the lady that does my nails actually just messaged me one time and she's like, "What about this name?" Because I had a name and I didn't really like it. It wasn't like fitting me, wasn't right. So I just mentioned that to her, like, I'm trying to think of a new name, a new stage name for myself. And a couple days later, she's like, "How about Lolly Popsicle?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty cute." And then, like, I told my boyfriend about it. And as soon as I said Lolly Popsicle out loud, I just thought, "Suck on that." And I was like, like, there's a tagline.
Yeah.
So then I liked it. But yeah, and I've always liked those kind of old-fashioned names like Lucy and Molly. Like they're just really cute. Um, and it's fun to do when you have an intro or a bio or something, or you're going on stage. Sometimes they'll read out a little thing about you, right? And it's always fun to play off of candy and stuff like that. Like you can find so many ways to make little nuances and shared words and whatnot. So it seems to fit, and I feel like I'm a pretty bubbly, colorful sort of person. Like definitely have what some people I guess would call like a gothy, edgy side. But as far as my performances go, I really like doing the more upbeat, like I don't know. I just feel like I'm a lot of fun on stage, and that name just sounds fun. So made sense to me. But yeah, I can't take credit for it. It was a friend of mine.
And I have sometimes this question, and I ask this to all my burlesque guests. Um, do you have a favorite prop that you like to use for any of your acts?
Hmm. Um, well, I don't know if it's my favorite yet because I haven't performed with them, but I did just get these silk fans. They've got like 3 feet or something of silk on the ends of them and stuff. So I'm really excited to start practicing with those and see what I can do. And I also got these little balls. Do you know what poi are?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're kind of like that, but they light up
Oh,
instead
okay.
of lighting on fire like they're silicone. So kind of excited about that because something like that you can bring to an indoor stage, right? So
Yes, you
I
can.
used, yeah, I used to spin poi and stuff like that when I was younger, but just got out of it, I guess. But when I saw these online, I was like, oh, cha-ching. So hopefully those work out well. Those might end up being my favorite. We'll see.
There you go. I like that. I like that answer, and I like that it's been different. Sometimes people have told me their favorite prop is like a chair to utilize for performances, or other people have told me they're fans. So
hmm
everybody has their certain niche and to go prop.
I guess like if I had to pick one thing, it would probably just be a costume in general, because I feel like your costume is a prop in itself. Like when you're building a costume, you have to be thinking in your mind, like, how is this going to go together? How is it going to come off? How is it going to be like progressive, right? So for me, it's like when you're doing burlesque, it's so much more than a dress. It has to be a dress that like cuts in half, or just like a jumpsuit that you just pull strings on and it disappears or something. Like it's almost got to be like a bit of a magic show if you want that like reaction. So
Yeah, you're looking for the wow reaction.
yeah, exactly. So I feel like regardless of what your costume is, like I guess that would be my favorite prop would be your costume, especially if you're building it yourself, because or like designing it yourself even, because then you like you'll see something differently than somebody else would, right? So
Definitely.
that's always
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. I I definitely like that answer. I agree. That is a good choice because to me, even being theatrical performer, it's all about the costumes. It's the it's the favorite
Right?
part of
It's the
it.
sparkles.
For me, people said that they said it was like Saved by the Bell. That's what. But so I know that you've also been featured in uh, 3 magazines. I remember you telling me that. There's the Hussy magazine, and
Yep.
um, what was the name of the other one that I remember you had told me it?
It was Con magazine, but I believe they've actually changed their name now.
Okay.
Not Can't remember what they changed it to, but Con magazine is like a gallery style layout, so it's all just full photo pages with like Instagram handles and online things that you can check out for more photos, but it's just like just full pictures on every page. Um, I've been in that one twice, and that was really cool when they reached out to me asking like, can we use some of your photos in our magazine? I was all like, oh my goodness. Like, felt like a bit of a celebrity for a quick sec. But I remember then for the Hussy magazine, it was just a page on Instagram that I followed because they always post really cool old cars and stuff like that, and other burlesque performers as well, like Holly Dolly Burlesque and things like that. And I just really enjoy their content. So one day they posted a keyhole contest on their story, and I was like, what's that? So I looked into it, and you just had to submit a photo that looked like you were caught doing something. And then they just put like a keyhole shadow over it so it looked like you were kind of getting peeked in on or something, right? So I was one of the photos that they chose for that feature, and I was just so excited about that. I remember when I actually got the magazines like in paper, had them in my hand, I was like, I'm famous, like I did it, I quit. So that was a pretty cool feeling for a small town girl to be like on paper somewhere. That made it feel legit for me, you know? So it was neat.
It- and I was going to ask you how you felt all about those, but you've provided wonderful answers. So,
That's how.
reading my mind. That's another skill Lolly
Another
has.
talent, yeah. Don't tell.
um, yeah, she can predict. um, so, what are you looking forward to as a performer for 2023?
Hopefully performing more. I mean, like, there's only one place where I live that sometimes they do performances, but I'm hoping that this year I'll have more opportunity to do some more traveling. Like, I call myself a traveling showgirl because I feel like anytime I do perform, I have to go somewhere to do it. So, but everything's just been really closed down since COVID. I feel like a lot of businesses have had a really hard time getting back on their feet, if they're even still open at all. So, my hope for this year is to just have more opportunity to go out and be where I need to be able to do burlesque more. um, but also to still do virtual things as much as I can. Like that's what I use my OnlyFans for mostly is like posting my numbers on there and or if I do something at home, like just little mini dances and things like that, like just to sort of keep the ball rolling. And I mean, Fanny, as you know, is like the champion of the virtual realm period. So like I hope to be involved in more of her shows and be able to take more of her classes now that the holiday season's over and everything's kind of like leveling back into routine and whatnot. So yeah, I just hope that there's more chance and opportunity for this year for me so that I can meet more people and expand more and grow and all that cheesy crap.
You're like all that cheesy crap, and now Dan will sing a cheesy music number to go out.
Right? It just sounds so silly, but I'm like, I can't say anything more than I'm just excited to see what my burlesque journey will bring. Like, I'm on my third year now. I've performed like quite a few virtual shows, and I mean, every live show that I could make it to and stuff like that. So I just want more. I've always been a hit the ground running kind of person when it comes to stuff like this. So I just need to order more rhinestones and all of that jazz. So yeah,
Well, we will do what we can here at Dan-A-Plooza and try to expand and create opportunities because that's what we're all about here.
yeah, that's awesome.
So, do you have a favorite number that you performed in 2022?
Um, hmm. Well, to be honest with you, all of my performances. Oh no, that's not true. I did perform live in 2022. I guess my favorite one that I performed live would have been one that I did to Christina Aguilera's Ain't No Other Man. It was just really fun and sassy, and it was with the community that I first started doing burlesque with um, at their like annual show that they do. So it was kind of like a wraparound moment for me. I don't get to see them very often just because we don't live very close. So that was just a really beautiful night. It was just a really good vibe. The crowd was really fun, and I worked really hard on the number So I felt really proud that it all went off without a hitch and I didn't pop a pasty, which I'm known for doing. So it all went really good. So that was really fun. Yeah, and then this last show virtually that I did with Fanny there would probably be the one I enjoyed most. And just it's just because of Fanny. Like she works so hard to make it a success and she's got like in between acts she does her own little thing and sip and strips and all of that. Like it's just a success. And being around people that love what they're doing makes it a lot easier to do what you're doing. So yeah, just the people in general, I feel like make the night more memorable and the feeling better more so than just the number itself. So like that's kind of how I remember it more. It's like from the people I was surrounded by and things like that, more so than just like a favorite number. It's like a favorite night. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, yes,
So
I know
yeah,
exactly what you mean because I've done a lot of shows, and there are shows to me where I've been with certain casts that really made it stick out, as opposed to just if I sang this number or did this monologue, um, yeah, I enjoyed kind of more of the group element. I remember I did the show Hair in college, and we kind of all got together doing that. And for me, it was the first time of learning to sing solo into like a microphone, and extend the notes and having
yeah,
people kind of explain like how to open and and use your diaphragm
breathe.
and yeah, breathe, don't pass out, and just we had that like whole element of everybody really got along and everything, and like I did that show back in 2004, so
Yeah, and it still stands out and makes a difference for sure.
it does that, and the costume, yeah, it definitely makes it stand out from what
Yeah,
I wore.
I definitely have a favorite costume
Okay.
though. And it's a butterfly costume that I did. I think it's like
All
11
right.
pieces or 12 pieces or something like, but I made it all myself. I rhinestoned it myself. I did everything by myself. It's the only complete costume piece that I have that I can say that about. So, and also it's to a Michael Jackson song.
Oh,
So
okay.
like you can't go wrong with that
Yeah,
because
what
there's
Michael
nothing
Jackson
better than
song?
that. Butterflies.
Oh, there you go. Or
So, yeah, that one would have been year before last that I did
Oh,
that one. That was I'm pretty sure that would have been one of the first shows coming like out of COVID because it was like everything was shut down and then we were allowed to go out for a minute and then they were like just kidding. But like in that minute we had done a smaller show and it was another just huge success. Like everybody was just happy to be allowed to be out doing something. So everyone was really well behaved, which was nice. But yeah, I remember feeling pretty proud of that because that's one thing I'm always stunned by when you go backstage and you see these girls like safety pinning and hot gluing and everything and it's like sometimes you'd have no idea that they made that themselves. So it looks like they spent like thousands of dollars on it. And meanwhile, they were like at their friend's farm plucking their ostriches. Like it's just
yeah.
insane. Like the creativity that these people come up with is just like just blows my mind. So to be able to have a piece myself that I feel is like custom by me for me type thing makes me feel like part of the club.
Part of the in crowd.
Exactly. Like one of those like more advanced. No.
Whole nother level.
Right.
Uh, so, is there anything else you would like to say or promote or say talk about on Dan-A-Plooza as we wrap it up?
Um, as far as promotion goes, I mean, if you're not following Bitch Sassity or Carla Marks or Fanny Sinclair, um, on Instagram, then I don't know what you're doing with your life except for missing out. So, yeah, I would just definitely follow and support as many performers in general as you can. When COVID started, that was the first thing to go was the theater. So,
Yeah.
and I mean it's the last thing to come back. In a lot of places, it's not going to. So,
Mhm.
just if you can, like, tips are great. Like you can tip your local performer anytime for anything. Um, yeah, and just be supportive and be kind. Um, and I don't know, I guess if I had any advice, it would be just to like listen. Assume the person you're talking to knows more than you do and learn about your community and what you can do to be more supportive and find a burlesque show to go to because if you haven't done that, that's silly.
If you haven't done that, there is a void in your life, and you need to
Right?
fill it with burlesque and make sure to bring moolah moolah da 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 bills.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'd like to go ahead and thank the very talented Lolli Popsicle for being on Dan-A-Plooza today. Um, everyone stay
Thank
tuned.
you.
Dan-A-Plooza keeps on rolling. 5 different authors, author panel is coming next. And then later tonight, we have the gorgeous girl models. We have Liz Stiletto and Batsy Von Crazy on Dan-A-Plooza. So everyone take care and have a good night.